Hey everybody, it's Jay, Ball Blue Days Outdoors. Hopefully you guys are having an awesome day. And today's video is gonna be a little bit different. I'm actually going to do a catch and clean of this 30-inch steelhead that my father-in-law caught yesterday. I just weighed it. It was 11 pounds 6 ounces, so with the blood in it, it was probably just over 12 pounds. But his biggest steelhead, and actually it's a male. I let all the females go. But what I want to do is let me show you this fish catch first. Guys, this is an awesome battle that happened. It was absolutely crazy. It was the one big fish we caught this day. But guys, check out this fish catch video, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break down for you my setup, everything that I have for cleaning a steelhead, and the way that I found to be the most efficient for me, because my father-in-law wants to smoke some of this, but I also want to show you guys how I vacuum seal it so that you can boil it, you can, pan fry, you can do a ton of stuff with it. So check out this fish catch video, and we'll get into cleaning this beautiful steelhead, so stay tuned. You're not gonna want to miss this episode.
Got a fish? Yeah, I figured, but I'm busy.
Try to spin itself towards me. Oh man, that's a big one. Oh, I'm not saying that's your biggest, but I think that's your biggest. Awesome work.
You gonna put the clothes back? Yeah.
All right, guys, we finally got this beautiful buck. We're gonna keep this one, but probably good 10, maybe 12 pounder. Hit a black and stone with a red dot on the belly. Beautiful, beautiful fish, man. These fish are awesome. So that was a pretty epic battle. Had an awesome day with my father-in-law. I was a little bit slower. We went 2 for 3 that day, but had an absolute awesome time catching. I'll leave a link to that video up here, and then a link to the other videos that I've made this year for steelhead fishing. Really happy that I was actually able to get on the river and do some steelhead fishing this fall, because with the water levels being slow, wasn't sure I was going to be able to make it out there. But anyway, let's get to cleaning this steelhead. So a couple of things you're going to need is you're going to need a good sharp fillet knife, a pretty sizable cutting board. This fish is just over 30 inches long, so you can see the cutting board is, gonna work. I've got a bowl here for my fillets, and something that you do want to keep in mind is it's cold out, especially in the fall, so there's a bucket or a bowl of hot water. I've got a rag, I've got my sharpening steel, and then I also have a gut bucket there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this fish over, because I like to start on the fish's right side. That's just what I'm most comfortable doing. So what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you how I actually take the fillet knife as best I can, depending on the angles I can get, and how I cut down along the back, and then I turn around and I cut the bones. I cut through the bones here, and then I just slowly work this fillet off. And then once I get both fillets off, I'm actually going to show you how I debone the fillet, and I'm actually going to leave the skin on, because like I mentioned, my father-in-law wants to smoke this, but then also I will show you guys how I vacuum seal it so that you can actually boil it right in the bag. So in like pure fall Michigan fashion, it's raining out, so hopefully this camera angle will work for everybody. Again, I will do my best to show you how I clean the steelhead. One thing that I forgot to mention, it's very important that you bleed these fish out. So when I had this fish in live well, you can see actually I cut his gill plate. And cleaning these fish without any blood in the wintertime when it's cold out, it's a must. Not only does it make the meat look a heck of a lot better, but it also just helps keep everything a lot cleaner. Look at, you can see it's raining inside here. So we're gonna flip this fish over first. Like I said, I like to start on the fish's right hand side, and you can see this is a pretty thick fish. I mean, this is a 9-inch fillet knife. How thick is this fish? Let's look real quick, just for grins and giggles. It is roughly about just over 7¼ inches thick. And like I mentioned, it's right at about 30 inches long. So really, really nice fish. This will be the first steelhead that I've cleaned in a year, and typically it takes a little bit of time. Usually it's nice to have maybe more than one to practice on. But anyway, so what's going to be important is when I first take the knife, I'll try to explain as best I can, but I'm going to poke the knife through the top
of the skin here go towards the head. I'm going to cut down till I feel the spinal cord, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut all the way down the spinal cord, and once I get to right about here at this anal fin, I'll poke through and I'll cut the rest of the fillet off. I'll then turn the knife around and I'll cut back towards the body, cutting through the rib cage, and I'll show you how to take the rib cage off so it's mostly 100% bone free. I'll cut the meat off the belly, fillet it off, and then we'll pull the whole fillet off, and that takes a little bit of time. Trust me, it's not something that you can just expect to do right out of the gate. I've been cleaning steelhead for, I don't know, close to 20 plus years. I'm not the best at it, but yeah, let's get to it. Okie dokie, let's get to cleaning. So I'm going to take the knife first and I'm going to poke up towards the head here. Skin is super tough right there. So got the hole started. Again, I'm going to keep the knife pointed forward towards the skull. You're going to feel all the bones. I'm going to come around here to the front, cut around to the front. Now we're going to go down. We're going to hit this spine, and then we're going to turn the knife. And you want to keep the knife kind of angled down a little bit, but then also back, so you're running the knife down the spine. So we'll just kind of saw it back and forth just a little bit, trying to again stay on top of that spinal cage. It's not going to be perfect, right? Like, unless you do this every day, it's really hard to get these fish perfect, but we'll do the best we can. So I'm getting back, I can feel that spine. I'm getting close to that anal fin, so I'm going to poke the knife through, keep the knife pointed down towards the spine, and then finish cutting through. So you can see we followed along the spine here pretty closely. Now I'm going to turn the knife around and I'm going to bring it back this way, cut through the rib cage. So let's do that next. All right, hopefully you can hear the sound of this. So we're going to put the knife to kind of at a downward angle and listen carefully. Hopefully you can hear the bones being cut right there, cutting through that spine, or through the rib cage I should say. Make sure you cut down all the way to the bottom of the head. Then you're just going to turn your knife and you're going to cut through that rib cage. Keep your knife pointed down. Again, you want to try to get as much meat off as possible. You can see this meat is really clean. There's a little bit of blood on it, but not a ton. So we'll just keep cutting. Again, this just takes practice. I know this, I'm sure there's more efficient ways, but this is just the way that I was taught. This is the way that works for me. Again, you want to keep that knife pointed down. It's a big, thick fillet, obviously. Go across the rib cage here. There, look at that. Now we're getting there. So again, you want to keep your knife pointed at a downward angle towards the ribs. Try to get as much of that belly meat as possible. Not cut through the belly, but just get as much belly as you can. Cut by the fin right here, the front fin. All right, now we're just going to take our knife and we're going to run down the edge of the belly, get up over that fin, and there we go. There is a really nice, beautiful steelhead. You can see we got most of the meat off the bone, right? We're really close to the bone. We missed a little bit here or there, but all in all, we got most of the meat off. So I'll go ahead and take the other side off. Also, too, this hand's already pretty cold. You guys can see that. That's what's nice about having this warm water. Dip your hand in the warm water. It's amazing how much that'll change your perspective just by warming your hands up a little bit. So I got the fish flipped over. Let's start and do the exact same thing just on this side. And this side I struggle with just because you don't have that extra layer of meat. So this side, the left side of the fish, I guess, always turns out a little bit worse than the top side. So again, just comes with practice. So we're going to push the knife through here at the front, cut down, go up towards the fin right here, cut down to the spine, turn the knife, hit that rib cage, and then just start working our way down. Keeping that knife pointed forward, a little bit of a downward angle. Oops, see I cut through the spine, so I gotta come back up. There we go. There we go, that's better. Then we get back to this anal fin back here, punch through, keep the knife pointed down, and just kind of scissor it, kind of walk it back and forth, I guess. Come up a little bit towards the end of the tail. There we go. So now I got to get back on this spine because I went a little deep. Through the top of that spine there. There we go. Don't want to rush it. Just take your time. Always keep your knife pointed down, close to the bone as possible. You can see we got most of the meat off there. We're doing pretty good. Again, this is the first steelhead I've cleaned in over a year, so I knew it wasn't going to be perfect. There we go. Another beautiful fillet. And that is pretty good. Can't really say we left a lot of meat on there. Here's a tip and trick for you. So to fit him in that bucket pretty easily, what I will actually do is I will take my knife about halfway through and I'll just put it right here on this rib cage, and I'll take the tail and I'll fold it over and break the spine. There. So now it's broken. So it's just kind of pick them up and you can just put them in a bucket. There you go. Now, let me show you how I take the skin off. Sorry, we're not taking the skin off. I'm losing my mind a little bit. We're going to keep the skin on because we're going to smoke this stuff. And we're going to process it so we can grill it. And also just poach it in the actual bag itself, the vacuum seal bag. So I do apologize for that. I'm going to show you how to take the bones out, which is actually pretty straightforward. And you heard it, and you can see this line of bones right here, okay? These bones are going in this direction, okay? So what I do is, again, I want to leave the skin on, is I will take my knife and I will run down. So I'll start at the top of this rib cage right here, and you can hopefully see those bones kind of sticking out, and I will take my knife and run all the way down along these bones, and you can actually feel the knife running down. You can see them pop them up, and what I do is I just try to follow this back, and those ribs will stop about halfway through, and what I do is I just keep cutting all the way down. I follow these bones, try to stay in front of them. I follow these bones all the way to the skin, and I don't cut through the skin, but I cut right down to it. So you can see I'm following these ribs all the way down to the skin. And once I get down here, I'll actually turn this around so you guys can see this better. All right, so you can see those bones right there, and we've almost got down to the skin all the way down. So there, we're to the skin. I'm gonna run my fingers back. Okay. So you can see all these bones. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start at the top side, and we're going to cut down, and we're going to take this really thin rib, this really thin section of meat out. You can pull these out with tweezers, but I just find this to be a little bit more efficient. So we're going to take our knife, we're going to start towards the back where those bones are, stay on top of them, and we're going to follow those bones all the way down to the skin. Okay? Again, I'm sure there's probably more efficient way to do this, but I like to keep the skin on these fish for smoking and for poaching. Okay, so you're gonna just you gotta feel it. It's a feel thing, but you'll follow those bones all the way down till you get to the skin. So we're to the skin at the front here. I got to go a little bit farther down. Again, just taking the knife and following those bones all the way to the skin. I think we are there. Nice. Okay, so you can hopefully see the bones there and the bones there. So we've created this really thin strip now of bone with very little meat loss. So then what I do is I come to the front, I take my finger, I peel. I start here, look at that. So then I start with the skin, and I take my finger and I run my finger down the skin all the way through that bone line. Maybe I'll do this, take it easier, and just run my finger all the way down. You can feel that skin breaking loose, and we are taking out all these bones. Look at that. Falling all the way down this line. There we go. I can feel back here that we're pretty close to the end. I just want to make sure I get all the bones off I can. Cut this out a little bit here. There we go. That is the strip of rib bones and how to take it out. Pretty straightforward. So you can see that I cut down to the skin, didn't cut through the skin. Now what I can do is I can actually stake this thing up for smoking and for vacuum sealing for poaching. So check this out. So this fillet specifically is going to be for just poaching in the vacuum seal bag. So I'm going to cut this into nice kind of meal-sized steaks. So we'll maybe make this one about this big right here. So we're just going to cut down. We're going to cut through the skin. There we go. Got that nice, beautiful, no bone. Look at, you can see how we pulled that rib cage out of there. So we've got that steak. Let's make one right here. All right, so there's 2 nice steaks, and then this will give us 4 really good steaks right here. So we'll just cut this one right there. Awesome. So that is going to be ones that I'm going to vacuum seal. I'll cut this one up, take the bones out, and we're going to use this one to smoke. I'll show you guys this one too. Maybe it'll give you another better view. So here's the line of ribs right here. I can feel them. So we're going to start on the underside of them first. And we're going to, again, keep our knife pointed down towards the skin. Follow this rib cage as far back as we can. You can see the bones kind of sticking out a little bit. And again, it stops about halfway back. Yeah, you probably see this a little bit better. So again, we're keeping the knife pointed down this way. That's the way that rib cage runs. So we're going to run all the way down to the skin. All right, all the way down to the skin there. And then we're going to start on top of these bones. Again, I want to stay as close as possible to them. Just try to save as much meat. And just keep our knife pointed the same direction. Down towards the skin, angled back a little bit. And this just takes practice. It just comes with time. It's not something that, again, you might get it the first time, but don't be discouraged if you don't. Because, again, it just takes years and years of practice to get really efficient at it. I know I'm not the best at it, not perfect. I know I'll probably get, a lot of comments and suggestions on how to do this quicker and faster, which is totally cool. That's what I'm all about. But for me, this just works real nice and simple. You can see how long those bones are, right? You don't want to eat those. It's important to get those out. So we just pulled that one out there. So I think we got most of the bones. I like to feel both sides of that rib cage. We got most of them. They're right there in the middle. So just like last time, we'll take our finger, run down this strip, and pull out all those bones. No bones about it. There we go. So now we have another bone-free fillet. Let's get this one staked up for smoking, and then I'll show you guys how I vacuum seal them. For smoking purposes, I think what I'm going to do is actually just, I'm going to let my father-in-law kind of decide how he wants to smoke this thing. So I'm just going to vacuum seal this whole thing whole. I'm not going to cut it up. I'm just going to vacuum seal it whole and then let him thaw it out and then let him kind of divide it up. Maybe he wants to smoke the whole thing full, which is cool too. So let's take this stuff inside and let's take those steaks inside, and I'll show you guys how I vacuum seal this stuff, and then we'll wrap the video up. If you don't have a Food Saver vacuum sealer, I highly suggest one. This thing is awesome. It's an absolute lifesaver, especially if you're an outdoorsman. or outdoorswoman who likes to keep your fish or your venison or anything like that preserved. I use it for chicken. So we've got our massive vacuum seal bag here. And again, we've got this nice, beautiful fillet. I'm going to leave it whole. Just talked to my father-in-law. He's good with me leaving it whole for him so he can smoke it. So let's get this thing in the bag, and then let's vacuum seal it. All right. So this is a pretty dry fillet, but I'm going to put my vacuum sealer on moist, just so if it does suck up any juices, the seal will get sealed a little bit longer. So get the bag lined up in there, and let's do it. Stretch it out. Beautiful. Look at that. It's a beautiful fillet. Look at that. Perfect steelhead fillet, vacuum sealed, ready to go in the smoker. I will have to somehow make some content to show you guys how good the maple glaze is that my father-in-law uses to smoke this steelhead. So let's go ahead and get this video wrapped up. All right, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this very first, I guess you could call it catch and clean of steelhead. So again, really nice, beautiful fillet here that I'm going to give to my father-in-law so that he could smoke it. And then I've got these little steaks here that are also vacuum sealed. You can actually just poach these in some boiling water. They taste really good, just kind of vacuum sealed like this. But then they also freeze really well. And steelhead's pretty fatty, just like with salmon. So it could probably stay vacuum sealed for maybe 6 months, and it should still be really good. So again, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like this kind of content and there's any other kind of catch and clean videos you want to make, just leave those comments in the comment section. Make sure you leave this video a thumbs up. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. The growth's been going really, really good. Again, I cannot thank you enough for your support. And remember, the easiest way to change your attitude is by showing gratitude. Thanks, and we'll catch you in the water next time.